Innovation continues to prove its place in solving socio and economic challenges in Sub-Saharan Africa. I spoke to Rasoul Mikkelsen, Director of Global Partnerships at Grundfos, on the role of innovation in solving water supply challenges in Africa. Take a look. The conversation around water supply for Africa has been ongoing for a while now, and water supply still seems to be a challenge in most African countries. You can help us understand, where are we in as far as the sustainability conversation is concerned?
Well, thank you very much for having me today. Well, there is a good news and bad news. Good news is, according to the Millennium Development Goals, that actually we achieved the targets. But bad news is still we have 750 million lack of water, safe water, and especially 300 million of them is actually still living in Africa. Recently published in a report that's showing that every second water point, especially in rural Africa, is not functioning after 2 years. There is many reasons for that, but innovation could be one of these things that is not adopted in the water supply in Africa. So there is good news and bad news, and we have to focus on the bad news for the Sustainable Development Goals for 2030, but that we actually, this time, we are not going to leave anyone behind.
What do you see as the role of innovation in water supply in Africa, and do you feel like it's being realized?
Innovation within water has been lacking far behind. And the reason for that is many, because my personal opinion is maybe we don't understand the context of innovation. We're focusing on maybe only the technological innovation, but also innovation could be on the business model and also leadership. Can innovation alone do that within the water sector? No, it cannot, because technology cannot solve all the challenges water sectors facing in Africa. So we have to look at how we can scale this innovation that we like. For example, we can learn from actually M-Pesa in the water sector. And this, I think the partnership is crucial, because partnership is also empower the utilities to provide the services to the poor people, especially in urban areas. For that case, for example, what we are doing is with the Nairobi Water, we have a partnership. And in this, actually, they are engaging with us because they are telling us which kind of innovation will work in their context. So this is extremely important to understand the innovation also in African context, not just invent the innovation in the headquarter level and push it into the market. So partnership for us is extremely important.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned context there, and it's really important. How does the landscape of the challenges of water supply, how does it look when you're looking at it from a Pan-African perspective, and how then do we apply specific solutions, smart solutions to each of these?
There is a lot of good news also here, because in the past, if we take just a few years back, the main focus was on the low cost, cost of the solutions or innovation, whatever. So we focused so much on the cost, we forgot the whole innovation part of it. So now there's a lot of focus on the life cycle cost or the quality of the solution that we're providing. So for that, I think the good news is now we're focusing on the whole this value chain of innovation, and I think it will see there's some scale up. It still challenges in the mindset. So we have to change the mindset of the people that business as usual is not going to work if we would like to achieve the goals in 2030.
We're looking at two kinds of populations here, the rural and the urban. How do we make sure that innovation caters for both?
Before I address your question, let's just take one step back and refer to the Paris COP21 that now actually the climate impact on poor is much more than their rich neighbors. So especially here, we will see impact on the rural areas, also in urban areas. What's happened in the rural areas, water scarcity pushed the people to migrate to the cities. So then again, we will see a huge pocket of poverty in the city itself, which means that the pre-urban areas and informal settlement. Again, what we're trying to do is, again, in consultation with the communities in the rural areas to understand their pains, understand which challenges they are facing, that we are really able to provide them with innovation that fits really to their specific needs and challenges. And the same in the city too. Talking to, for example, as I mentioned with the Nairobi Water, we exactly understand their challenges. And this is also, again, beauty of the partnership, because what we're trying to innovate here is actually fits with the specific pains and specific challenges the utilities and rural areas facing. For me, actually for us, challenge is the same. access to or lack of access to safe water is the same in the rural areas and as well as in urban. But in urban area, you have much more opportunity to buy yourself others or find other source of water, which could be bottled water, whatever. But rural area has this the limited access, and then maybe the access they have is unclean water, which means the surface water, and then you have the problem again that you get the diseases and so on.
If you look at the pattern of innovation in Africa, is most of these solutions come from individuals that no one really knows about. Then maybe corporates pick it up or governments pick it up. Do you feel that the stakeholders in the water sector, you know, the companies, the ministries of these services, are well equipped to pick up these innovations going forward and push them to solving the specific problems?
You know, unfortunately not. So what we are seeing is there are a lot of innovation around, not only the water sector, energy sector too, but it seems they have a tendency of the remaining in the pilot, which means you do a pilot. We always says a pilot never fails, never scales. And again, comes back to who are the stakeholders. In the water sector in Africa is very complex. We have the government, we have the utilities, we have the international NGOs, and also we have the donors. So we're not only talking about the scaling of the innovation mindset of the government should be changed, but we're also thinking about the mindset of the investors and funding partners here, for example, the NGOs, donors. So again, by working together, I think this is the only way. We're working together on multi-stakeholder approach, and I think we will be able to scale the innovation that actually responds to the challenges in water supply in Africa.
Finally, are there smart solutions that Sub-Saharan Africa can adopt from the rest of the world, or we first have to find the context?
Absolutely, and I think even you don't need to borrow them. I mean, the solution is there. We are here in Kenya and AFWA, and if you just go in the exhibition areas, you see how much innovation is around. I think the question is, again, how we could adopt this innovation to the local context and to respond to the local, local emergency and local challenges. Again, my final comment will be also, again, the one size shoe is not going to fit all. So the innovation works very well in Kenya. Maybe it's not going to work in Uganda or Tanzania or Burkina Faso. But what we have as industry do is we have to be able and capable of really adjusting our innovation, again, to each local context and respond to the requirements and challenges the local community and utilities are facing.